Good morning, YouTube. Shelby and I are in Midland, Texas, and here we spent the night in Walmart parking lot last night. We could have checked into a hotel, but we probably would have checked in around 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And regardless of what time you check in at a hotel, at least the most hotels that I'm familiar with, you still have to check out at 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So even if you get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, you still have to check out at 11 o'clock in the morning. So that's one of the reasons that I've always found hotels unattractive, because I think if they use a little more flexibility, they would get a lot more business. But a lot of people, when they have different schedules, and if they don't get there to the hotel until sometime in the middle of the night, and they still have to check out basically first thing in the morning, it's not worth the rates that they're charging. I mean, most of these hotels these days are, if you find a hotel under $100, that's pretty rare. And you if you're just going to be there a few hours, it's just not worth it. And but a lot of people, just sleeping in your car, sleeping in your van, or if you have an RV or campers, things like that, doing the overnighter is not bad at all. But if longest periods times, like Shelby and I, we're just here. In fact, we're about to leave um, after I'm done with this video. But overnight is not bad, because basically for us, the overnight just equates to a few hours. You know, um, we were leaving first thing in the morning. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning here in Midland, Texas, and I'm still I'm still getting over this cold. I feel better. It's just that I just sound terrible. But anyway, the here in Midland, the Walmart parking lot, Shelby and I, we have handicap privileges, so when we want, we could just park right in front of the building, and under the safety of the cameras and the lights. But last night before we went to sleep, I parked around the back so we can just blend in more, and just a little dimmer, um nice and quiet, and that's where we went to sleep for a few hours. There's a lot of people that's camped out here at Walmart. I noticed that you have some shoppers, and you have some shoppers that shop and then they leave, but you also have shoppers that's spending the night, spending the weekend, living in the Walmart parking lot. And I think part of that reason is because of the convenience. You have the convenience of the store, anything that you basically might need, supplies, food, water. If they sell it here at Walmart, of course. But also you have the safety of the cameras and the lights, and the other campers here. So there's safety in numbers, and you also have the um the bathrooms, the access to the bathrooms, and the water fountains and things like that. And so a lot of people here in the parking lot, they especially at nighttime after everything thins out, um the parking lot is still about maybe 1/4, 1/3 full, but everybody's kind of like scattered out. And as a courtesy, people, they tend to not park next to each other. If you can park 10 cars away from the car that's already there, um, that's what people do, and it's like an unwritten rule, I mean, nobody's going to say anything if you park next to them, but basically when you're camping and you're amongst other campers, You want to give each other as much space as possible, especially when it's just when they're in a car or an SUV like Shelby and I, um, where they don't have curtains. So it in a way to compensate for not having curtains put up or being in an RV or something like that, people just park at a distance, just to give each other a little bit of space. And I noticed that last night. And one thing I really like about the fact that Walmart is so tolerant of campers. I mean, I understand that it's a profit to be made as well, but it is a convenience for people to have this option. Shelby and I, we could have went to a hotel last night and spent $150, but that's $150 that we can spend elsewhere now, or we can spend on food, or we can spend on gas to get back home today. So that's $150 that we can use for something else. And I think I'm pretty sure a lot of people is on the same mind frame. It's like if you're just out overnight, and in our case just a few hours, um that's money that you could do something more lasting with, and instead of just using it at a hotel that you're not going to be in, but not even 24 hours. So but the one thing about this video that I wanted to mention is that they're talking about the recession. The recession is coming, and possible recession. The recession is here, darling. America is already in the midst, in the throes of the secession. The only the reason why you might not be quite aware about it, because it might not have actually hit your front door, and the media is giving very little coverage to it. So people that currently are homeless, because it's not covered in the media in a mass way, they kind of made to feel like, okay, this is just happening to you. This is just happening to your specific group of people. This is just happening to people in your income bracket, or this is just happening to people in your education, with your education background. This is happening to people from all walks of life. I mean, even here today and last night, there's multiple different races of people sleeping in the parking lot. It's not just one particular race. We have Indians, blacks, whites, all types of people from different ethnic backgrounds that's camped out here temporarily, here indefinitely, here until they think of, you know, how they're going to better their situation, just using this as an option or whatnot. So, and you have people here from all type of economy groups as well. I mean, we have people here in the parking lot that stand in vehicles, you know, that cost anywhere from a few $1,000s to $100,000 vehicles. I mean, some of these RVs in mobile homes, and they're like $80,000 homes, and multiple $100,000 homes. So everyone is not here tent camping. We have some people that's in some very nice campers, RVs that that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's camped out at Walmart for the convenience of the store. They and they're trying to not deplete all their resources in staying in hotels, or and campgrounds can be expensive as well. We have campgrounds that you pay as little as $4 a day to $40 a day, that I'm aware of. There's probably more that's even more expensive than that, but it started to add up very quickly. If you're spending $40 a night at the campground, and then that probably doesn't even include um, all of the facilities that you might be using. You also, paying for the laundry room, which is probably another $5 or $10, and you're also paying to use the showers, which in most cases, in my experience, the showers are like $1 every 5 minutes or something like that. So you're constantly spending money. Being homeless, um, in general, is cheaper, of course, than paying rent and paying the mortgage. But by no means is it like you can be homeless and not spend any money at all. I mean, if you have to do that, then those that have no money and those that are homeless and not spending any money while they're homeless, you're not going to have any type of comforts at all, because when you're homeless, if you have a vehicle, and hopefully, I mean, because Shelby and I, we were homeless at one time too, but we always had a vehicle. In fact, we were homeless most of the time. We had two vehicles while we were homeless. But so even though you're homeless, you still have to put gas in your vehicle. Um, you still have to eat, and you just still have to buy different supplies and stuff. And like, as a camper, that's one thing that Shelby and I retreated to, is my camping abilities. And so we did a lot of camping while we were homeless, to also, so we wouldn't be spending, depleting all our resources on hotels and motels. So we just went to campgrounds, and we found a lot of free campgrounds. We found a lot of campgrounds that were only $2 and $4 a night. And but even with that, you still have to buy firewood. It depends on what time of year it is and what location you're at. But most of the time, you want to buy some firewood, regardless, even if it's in the summertime, just to cook with. So you need firewood to cook. You need firewood to keep the mosquitoes away. You need firewood to keep the animals away in some cases. And you also, especially if it's extremely hot. Well, we spent a lot of time camping in California, so it's pretty hot there. So if you're going to camp here in Texas, it's going to be even hotter. So you're probably investing a lot in ice and water. A lot of cases, the water was free, if it was available. But you probably, ice was like one of our luxuries, say, so to speak. So actually we spent a lot of money on ice and firewood. So even if you're homeless, you still need money for some comforts in life. And I plan on doing a video on how to be homeless, the best way to be homeless. Like one of the tips is, if you know anything about camping, if you have the ability to go anywhere where there's camping available. And well, actually, because some people have the misconception that you could just camp anywhere, you're already outside, so just go camp, but that's not the case. You can't camp on private property, and so, and you don't want to go anywhere, even if it's public property. You don't want to be somewhere camping where you're probably gonna, so if you're homeless, you probably need to get situated and be somewhere for an extended period of time, a couple of months, or maybe even 4 to 6 months. And so you don't want to go anywhere camping where you're going to be ran off by the police and have to leave all your belongings behind and everything like that. So but yeah, I want to do a video on how to be homeless, how to find places to go camping, but also you know, my videos would be geared to people with vehicles. I don't even know how to be homeless, without a vehicle. And so, and one of the advantages, or one of the many advantages of having a vehicle while you're homeless, well, naturally, you have some shelter from the elements, and you have a place to sit down. You can go to your vehicle and sit down. but also you can get where you're going if you have a running vehicle. But once again, you also have the expense of maintaining this vehicle. You know, you have to have money to keep the vehicle maintained with oil and gasoline and antifreeze and anything else that the vehicle might need. And Lord help you if you have to have any repairs done on top of that. But I would say, I would tell anybody, yes, it's better to have a vehicle and be homeless than not, so at least you do have some of your own possessions during this hard time. Um, Another thing is, being ran off by the police, and most of the time, my encounters with the police have been mostly positive. You know, even the few times where we were approached by the police in the middle of the night, they were very nice. They even gave me suggestions on where we could go camp out overnight. So, but the misconception that homeless people are unemployed or mentally ill or just poor people that were poor before they were homeless and stuff. That is not the case. The homeless population is much more versatile now. I think you also have a lot of homeless people that have a decent amount of money. One, because they work every day, or they have some source of income, and they're not you know currently paying their money towards rent and mortgage. So a lot of homeless people um have a decent amount of money to work with. Not all homeless people, of course, but some, because some people have just lost their jobs, and they were living paycheck to paycheck in the first place. But you also have the homeless population that have a steady income, and they just don't have enough money to pay, the high cost of rent and mortgage currently. And so, but yeah, so you can make the best. That's what I wanted to make a video about, making the best of being homeless. So if you're like in this category where you have income, but you just don't have enough income to maintain, you know, um, conventional living quarters, then you could just make the best of being homeless, during this temporary time. And a lot of people, I think the best mentality to have while you're homeless is to know this is just temporarily. You're going to find all other alternatives. Um, you may, you might not move back into a mansion. You might not be making plans to move back into a 4-bedroom home or whatnot, but you're going to find a way not to be homeless. You're going to maintain some shelter. And so one of my uh, suggestions is to work on, first of all, get into a shelter if you can. They have most places that Shelby and I have traveled to. Most cities, they have decent shelters, especially for families. Especially for women and children. I've heard that the men's shelters are kind of rough, but as far as the women and children go, they have safe shelters for families. And so, get into a shelter where you can, get yourself together. A lot of shelters have computer centers where you can get online. So, it's hard to advance and make plans, and it's hard to get situated and stabilize when you're in survival mode, the whole time. So that's one thing that a shelter will do for you. It will put you where you're not have to worry about every morning you wake up. You don't have to worry about where you're going to sit, where you're going to brush your teeth. Are you going to be able to take a shower today? So living in a shelter will help you with those things, and you don't have to worry about that. The immediate thing, because like there were one time when Shelby and I were in California, and we were staying in a safe. They had a safe parking program, and Shelby and I, we were staying there. We were staying in our Camry, and I love Toyota Camry, but I do not want to live in my Toyota Camry ever again. Um, but we were staying in the safe parking lot program, but there was no showers. There was no place where you had access to water. You were just in a parking lot, and so we still had all the immediate things to worry about every morning. Every morning, I had to find some place, some semi-private place where we could go take a sponge bath and, brush our teeth, change our clothes. And because there was no privacy, we had in the whole parking lot, it was like, while during the time we were there, it was like maybe 10, 12, 14 other vehicles parked there, and there was like only one porta potty. And I mean, it wasn't, as far as porta potty goes, it was a one of the decent porta potties. It had a mirror, and it had a sink, where you can push the pedal with your foot, pump the pedal with your foot, and water will come out. So we were lucky to have that, and I appreciated having that, and it was maintained. But at the same time, it was one porta potty, and that's where you had to go and to try to do everything, and you couldn't do everything in it because it was too small. So you're standing there and the water was coming out very slow. So basically, after you wash your face and brush your teeth, you still need to find some place where you can go and actually do a sponge bath and clean. So yes, the recession is active now. America has been in a recession. um Based on my opinion, America has been in recession the last 10 years, really. You know, these because when you think about it, and it doesn't get much coverage. You hear about it and then you don't hear about it anymore. But these major companies are closing, and so like every time you hear about a major company like Kmart has closed, you have to put together all the tens of thousands of people that used to work for Kmart that had to yeah, some of them found other jobs, and maybe some of them didn't really need the job, and they just um went back to doing whatever they were doing, their artwork, or they might maybe been a stay-at-home mom or something like that. So the job wasn't their priority concern. But a lot of people that worked for Kmart, became unemployed. And some of these same people, their unemployment has run out and they haven't found new employment. And also when Payless went out of business. And not to mention the great empire of Sears. That's, Sears went out of business in 2000, I believe it was 2008. And that was hundreds of thousands of people um, just suddenly became unemployed. So a lot of people, if they don't hear about it on the news, they don't think about it, and they think it doesn't exist. But the recession has been in effect for years now, and people need to do. If it hasn't, if your house hasn't been foreclosed on, if your car hasn't been repossessed yet, you need to start making plans on how you're going to live without cash, or how you're going to live on very little cash, because a lot of people are going to be faced with that. How they're going to manage, and basically surviving is staying ahead of disaster, being prepared. That is what survival is about. And knowing how to cook. And I'm guilty of this. I've been guilty of this for most of my adult life not knowing how to cook. Um, I didn't learn how to cook as a child, and as an adult, I most of the time I had pretty decent jobs where I could afford to eat out and eat at one of my favorites were buffets, all you can eat restaurants and things like that. And that's a pretty expensive lifestyle. I mean, if you're eating out 3 or 4 times a week and you're spending 20 $25 each time, and that's on the low end. So you're spending $100, more than $100 a week, just on eating out. That's expensive. And the sad part about it is that I wasn't eating out for recreational purposes. I was eating out because I didn't know how to cook. But over the past 20 years, I've been teaching myself how to cook, and and I'm a much better cook now than I was 20 years ago, naturally. But you save a lot of money as well, and especially, and that's what the thing that really kickstart kickstarted me into teaching myself how to cook, because I no longer could afford, I no longer could maintain that lifestyle where I was spending um $150 a week on restaurants. And so knowing how to cook, that is like basic. And I've never been proud of not knowing how to cook. I've talked to people, particularly women, they're like, I don't know how to cook, and not trying to learn how to cook and all that stuff, and it's like they trying to say, because they know society used to pressure women into knowing how to cook. But knowing how to cook has nothing to do with whether you're going to get married, or whether you're going to have a family or anything. It's basic survival skills, knowing how to cook. And I'm so glad that I have accomplished learning how to cook. And another thing before I close this video is I noticed a trend on micro apartments, and a lot of people are moving into single occupancy apartments. Um, okay, well, if you're single, you don't have any children, you don't have a spouse, that's the way to go. But to me, both of those single occupancy apartments and micro apartments, they're just very, very temporary. And the reason why I say you should think of them in temporarily, because they are so small that if you have a friend or a relative that's in need, that you want to help out, you want to let them, you want to allow them to sleep on your couch, or you might have a sewing room or extra bedroom, or a giant closet that you want to convert into a bedroom where you can help someone else. Then you can do so. If you have like a normal size apartment, or even if you have a tiny house where you have one bedroom and you have a living room, at least in that type of situation, you have a space where you can sleep, and somebody that you care about can also um, come and crash at your tiny house or your cabin, or your apartment. But if you live in a micro apartment, and where you just have one tiny room, and you have a tiny closet, and you have a tiny bathroom. So, and basically you just have just enough space for you. And so if your friend calls and say, well, I'm homeless, or I just lost my apartment or whatever, can I come crash at your place? I mean, it's going to be hard to do. And I think, I think this is what the powers want. They don't want you to be in a position where you can help someone out, help someone save some money and get back on their feet. They just want everyone to stay caught up in the cycle of paying rent, And in these micro apartments, they're not cheap, and I could understand, like, if these micro apartments were like half the price of regular apartments. But these micro apartments, they're only like a few $100s less than regular apartments are. So like if you have a micro apartment, a lot of these people, well, it depends on where they are, of course, but let's just say New York, they're paying, instead of paying $1,700 a month, they're paying $1,400 a month for a fraction of the space. And then some of them, they don't even have facilities, like they don't, they have common bathrooms, they don't even have kitchens and bathrooms. You have to um go elsewhere or go down the hall, and to use the bathroom. So I'm just saying, you want to maintain as much self-reliance as you can. Like if you have a friend, or if one of your siblings or your cousin or whatnot, they want to come stay with you for a couple of months until they get situated. You want to be in a position where you can offer this, you can help somebody, and you want to be in a living quarters where you have your own kitchen, where you have your own bathroom. These things are very important because they're so fundamental to surviving. One of the main things about one of the main disadvantages of being homeless is not having a kitchen. You It's not just about not having a place to sleep and not having a place to eat and relax, but you also don't have a place to cook. And another disadvantage of being homeless is not having a bathroom. That is one of the main things that you come to realize, is when you're homeless, is like every time you have to go to the bathroom, you have to figure out where it is, how far it is, do you have access to it, so why move into a micro apartment that you're paying $1,200, $1,500 a month, and you don't even have a bathroom? I mean, you have access to a bathroom down the hall or something like that, but you don't have a bathroom in your space. And so that's an inconvenience. And so then if you're trying to help somebody else out, then it's going to be a bigger inconvenience. So the ideal situation is, to have a space that you can afford, and have a that includes a bathroom and a kitchen. Even if you have to put your own kitchen together, and I've seen people on videos doing that, where they put their own kitchen together. But at least you have a kitchen. You have something to cook on. You have whether a portable stove or a conventional oven, you know, cooktop, things like that. You have something, the ability to cook in your space, and you have cabinets to, for storage. And I saw one video that was really, really nice. They had got some cabinets, and some, yeah, cooktop things. Like, it was very simple, but I mean, you have the ability to fix breakfast in the morning, have coffee in the afternoon, you know, um, just cook basic food. You don't have an oven, but you can cook edible, healthy meals with just a stove top. And but yes, so that's the only thing that I really find unattractive about micro apartments, especially the ones that are so small that you can't even fit another person into them. And then at the same time, you're still spending a great deal of your resources to live in these places. So it's not really much of an advantage. I mean, yes, the young college student, might be saving $300 a month, but like I said, these places are ideal for temporary living, and people that are single, people that haven't met anyone that they want to spend their life with, people that haven't started a family yet, and so at some point in most of our lives, at some point, being young and single is going to cease to exist. You at some point you're gonna, you might have children, and or you just might have a sibling or a friend that you want to help out. So, and also I believe that the best thing to do is to acquire a piece of property that is yours. And I say cheap piece of property because if it's cheap, you can most likely you can afford it. No zoning code. And the reason why I say the emphasis on no zoning code is so you can live on it any type of way you need to at the time. If it with no zoning code, that means you can live on your property in a tent, in a camper, in a trailer. You can live in your property in a tiny house. You can live in your property in your car. But I strongly recommend that all Americans that can pull it off start researching, start figuring out where you can find cheap pieces of property. Get you a piece of property and have a shed or a cabin. What's that? Shed, cabin, or barn. Have some kind of structure towed onto it, hauled onto it, towed onto it, whatnot. That's yours. Then you have your property. Then you have some type of shelter. Install a lock on the door. Install a lock on the door and call it a day. You know, that way you can at least get your mind together, get your head straight. You have a roof over your head. The next time you're able to purchase yourself a bed, a table, throw a couple of chairs in there. Um, get you a portable stove. You have see when you have your basic needs um met. With your basic needs met, you can go through the day, you can go through your week, you can start going through your life more comfortable. You're not in a state of desperation anymore. You own the property. It might be a regular piece of regular piece of property. It doesn't matter. You know, Shelby and I, we don't have the best piece of property. It's not in the best location. We don't have a cool springs running through our property. We have to haul our water to our property. The road to get to our property is very rough, but we own it straight out. We the bank is not breathing down our neck. Um, we're not putting nickels and dimes together every 30 days trying to pay for it. It's paid for. And we have a cabin on it, very nice cabin, I must say, but it's nothing fancy. It's not going to win any type of awards or anything like that, but it's ours. It protects us from the elements. We're not sleeping in the rain, or we're not sleeping in the snow. We have a place to go into, and so our basic needs are met. Everything else beyond that is is basically luxury. We have a place to eat, sleep, watch, relax. We have watch television. You know, I can sit down, do the budget. I can think about the future. I can make plans for our future because our immediate basic needs are met, and that's what you have to do, and that's what every American need to start getting into focus on is, forgetting about, stop thinking about, what landlord, how I'm going to pay the landlord, or how I'm going to get another landlord. you know get out of the landlord mode, because landlords come and go as well, and landlords do not have your interests at heart. Every only thing the landlord, and I've had some very nice landlords. Well, only had two landlords, but I've had a very nice landlord, and but every 30 days they want you to deliver a suitcase full of money. They want you to pay the rent every 30 days. They don't care about your situation. They don't care about that you just lost your job. They don't care about that your husband just whatever disaster has befallen you. They are not concerned about that. Their only concern is, I mean, they might sympathize with you, and they might feel bad, and they might even be friendly. They might even try to help you out in some type of way. But basically, you can expect the landlord to just be your landlord. They're not trying to be your friend. And so property ownership is where it's at. That is the only type of security that you really going to have in this life, is the security of owning a piece of property. And in my opinion, everyone over the age of 16 years old should own some type of property. So if you fall out with your parents, I mean, because you're becoming an adult, and some people might be saying, oh well, that's just um that's just overkill, that's just too much. No, you're becoming an adult, you have your own opinion, you have things you want to do that separate from your parents. I mean, in hopefully, I mean, yes, at 16, I hope that you have a great relationship with your parents, and your parents are very supportive, and your parents are helping you with everything that you trying to accomplish. And they're helping you even when they don't agree with you. They're still trying to help you, and they're still in support of you. But everyone over the age of 16 need some type of security, and property will provide you with that type of security. Okay, well, I'm going to sign out for now. See you guys later.